Hi guys. I guess my audience already knows the following. If it's in the house, it's in your mouth. A famous quote by Chef AJ. Dr. Lyle says we have to work harder on our environment than we have on ourselves when it comes to healthy eating. So many of you already know that we should not have foods in the house that trigger us because of the pleasure trap. I have a video on that if you don't know what the pleasure trap is. I linked it in the show notes. But what about the food outside the house we can control? How can we handle the situation properly? Some of my clients reported that they have 100% compliant food in their home, but struggle with not eating junk food outside the house. If you already handled keeping a clean home, congratulations to that one, because many people still have an unclean environment, which is one of the main reasons people fail to stick to a healthy way of eating. So not eating junk food is the last bastion outside the house. So what can we do about it? First things first. Some people assume because I'm a health coach, I'm resistant to all pleasure trap foods. I can put your mind at ease with this. I am a human being with a well-functioning nervous system that is also on alert when I'm in front of highly processed foods I liked in the past. Maybe not to the degree anymore as in the past because I have eaten a whole foods diet for so many years now, but the memory of the taste of those foods is still stored in my brain. I'm less tempted now to have unhealthy foods outside the house than in the past. However, if you are tempted, I have an approach that helps my clients. So if you struggle with not having junk food outside the house, you can do the following. As soon as I feel tempted to have something that is not healthy food, I eat something healthy first. But not just anything healthy, but something I'm usually totally into, my favorite healthy food, so to speak. For example, I love watermelon or henna yams. So if I'm triggered and I know that this behavior can become an impulse to drive to the grocery store and buy something processed, I think of what would be the nearest best option of health food I can have right now instead of the junk food. Of course, this impulsive behavior is, as the word includes, impulsive. Therefore, we have to make sure to have access to something super tasty but healthy immediately. We don't have time to invest 30 minutes of preparation first. It has to be done in a very short time. Let's say you're already in the grocery store and want to buy a loaf of bread, which was always one of my trigger foods, by the way. What you can do instead is to go to the fruit section and pick the fruit you like the most. Buy that. Or let's say you're seconds away from driving to the grocery store because you want some ice cream. In this case, if ice cream is something you crave from time to time, go and make yourself some banana ice cream in your blender. I recommend having a bunch of frozen bananas in the freezer if you're regularly triggered by ice cream. And before you drive and buy the package of ice cream, go and do some banana ice cream and eat as much as you want from it. The interesting thing is that people fear eating a lot of healthy foods like fruit and starches in the first place, but don't fear having excessive amounts of junk food instead. The fear and regret come afterwards. They try to be extra good and try not to overeat on healthy food, and as a result they end up with the head in the jar of chocolate cream or whatever. One reason for that is that this entire process is subconsciously driven. We, the rational part of our brain, don't want to drive to the supermarket, but your lizard part of the brain, where cravings and hunger come from, doesn't care. It wants ice cream now because it wants the highest calorie-dense foods in the environment. So one crucial lesson I made over the years was to allow myself to eat my favorite healthy foods as much as I want, even if it's more than I typically would need before I drive to the grocery store and buy the junk food I desire in the first place. What happened over the years was that I was so full of healthy starches and fruit that I could not have any bite of food anymore and therefore didn't drive to the grocery store. A slight craving might still be there, but to the degree that you can handle it. You might think eating a lot of healthy food is not the best solution. You're right to some degree, but it's 10 times better than stuffing yourself with the same amount of junk food. So what do you think will harm you more? I'd rather weigh 5 pounds more and eat all the healthy food as much as I want that keeps me from junk food than eat all the junk food and weigh 50 pounds more as a result. Furthermore, with this technique, I deconditioned my nervous system to crave unhealthy foods less and less in the first place. Because as soon as you indulge in your cravings, you keep the centers in your brain activated where these cravings come from. So the more you have unhealthy food, the more you crave it. As a result, I need this technique less often than in the beginning, but it's like a safe haven where I can come back whenever I need to. On these tempting days, it's not about trying to eat perfectly healthy and a reasonable amount of food. On such days, your job is to stay away from the pleasure trap, even if this means eating more healthy starches and fruit than you might need. It's more important on such a day to stay away from junk food and focus less on weight loss. Because if you indulge in junk food, it hinders your weight loss more than eating more healthy starches and fruit. So my personal lifesaver foods in those moments are things like baked potatoes with sugar-free ketchup or just henna yams with some cinnamon, but beans and rice, a bunch of cherries or frozen grapes, just to name a few. I discovered over the years what specific starches and fruits help me in those moments. I rarely have vegetables in those moments. If I want ice cream, I can have veggies. But I can have something close to it like banana and ice cream, just blended frozen bananas. Be creative with that as long as it's a whole food. Sometimes it's just a mix of rice and beans and salsa, as much of it as I want. Then, if I still feel tempted, a couple of hours later, I eat more of that or jump to another starch and fruit. I do this for so long until it's evening and I go to bed. The next day, I might feel like I will not be hungry for the rest of the day, or at least less than usual. And you know what happens as well when I do this technique? Because I'm less hungry than usual, because my glycogen stores are full, my body naturally balances the calories, so as a result I eat less than usual. Do I feel like a light elf when I had more food than usual in the evening? Of course not, but I can promise you I feel 100 times better than I ever did after a binge on junk food or just indulging too much on pleasure trap foods. You'll not gain weight by doing this technique once in a while if that's what you fear. But you'll gain weight by driving to the grocery store or restaurant, because the thing is that it's not the one slip off plan. It's the accumulation of those foods that are off plan that you develop because those foods are addictive. Your favorite healthy starches and fruits are not addictive. Therefore, you'll not use this technique very often. This is one of the reasons why I always make sure to have a house full of fruit and pre-cooked starches. And if I don't have fresh fruits and starches at hand, at least I have frozen bananas, grapes, beans and rice in the freezer. Believe me, it makes a big difference. We want to combat our impulsive behavior with good techniques, one of which is meal prepping. Don't leave your healthy eating to chance, especially not outside the home. Always take something healthy with you, and if you don't have anything healthy, buy a package of some fruit of your choice. Maybe you are already a master at having a clean home regarding your food choices. So the next step is to become a master outside the home, like a good soldier who has carefully examined his surroundings and knows where dangers lurk. He is prepared. That sounds so extreme. But don't forget that our modern food is extreme and not trying to eat healthy. Dr. Esselstyn has a great quote on healthy eating. Some people think the plant-based whole foods diet is extreme. 500,000 people a year will have their chests open up and a vein taken from their leg and soon onto their coronary artery. Some people would call that extreme. So the modern world is a difficult undertaking when it comes to healthy eating. It's you against your instincts. It's impossible to fight your human instincts that desire the richest food in the environment. Your brain will scan where it has access to it. Therefore, I don't leave my food to chance outside my home. I always leave the house full and satisfied, and when I'm out for a long time, I prepare myself by having enough healthy food with me, even if it's just fruit. This is one key to why I'm successful. By doing so, I was never happier with my food than now. It's not about your willpower when it comes to healthy eating. It's about diligence, mastering your environment, repetition, and food preparation. There is no psychological brain hack that can do this for you. Some people negatively comment that people who follow a whole food plant-based diet eat so much food, which they assume is unhealthy. But what do you think is healthier, cramming on junk food and being overweight, or eating all the healthy food in abundance without restriction and being slim. You decide for yourself. To sum it up, the next step for you is to find out which healthy foods you can have first, as much as you want before you drive and buy the junk food. Don't eat rice in those trigger moments when you enjoy potatoes more. Don't eat oranges in those moments when you enjoy peaches more. If you want to learn more about this topic, Dr. Lyle has an outstanding lecture called Mastering the Environment, hosted by Chef AJ. It's a classic you should watch over and over. Watch this on top of this video and you'll know more than 99.9% of the people who try to master eating healthy. I linked the video in the show notes. So I hope this helps you next time and I wish you a great day. So see you next time. Bye bye.